now we're going to move on to Rachel and Georgia for now, and they're going to talk to us about the living streams framework that's been developed in Queensland, and how they look to try and better manage streams through this framework. So over to you, ladies.
So hello everybody, and thank you Melissa and Catherine, Water Sensitive SA, Corey for that wonderful kickoff presentation, the National WUSID Network and our partners here in Queensland at the Department of Environment and Science for providing the opportunity to speak with you today. I want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which I'm meeting with you today. So I'm in Gladstone country. It's country of the Balai, Garang, Gureng, and Tarrabalang Bunda nations. So they're the traditional owners and custodians of the land and water on which I present to you today. And I want to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I'm at a pokey little rest stop at Mount Larkham up in Gladstone Way. So I will apologise if there's a little bit of background noise. However, thanks for the opportunity again to present to you guys today. So our water by design program is one of the leading capacity building programs for erosion, sediment control and urban stormwater management in Queensland. We're funded through a strong and long partnership with the Department of Environment and Science. We've recently been successful in garnering some federal government funding support, and we're also funded through the 10 local governments here in southeast Queensland. So we're really extremely grateful for the ongoing passion and dedication of our funders and the really strong communities of practice that we work with across the state. And that includes First Nations groups, industry, water utilities, state agencies, federal authorities, local governments right across the state, and our local communities. So I'll be co-presenting with my wonderful colleague, Georgia Glidden today, who's a key member of our Water by Design team. And we're going to spend the next 15 minutes or so stepping you through our Living Waterways framework. So thanks again for your time today. I really hope this presentation adds some value to the great work that I know you're all doing. I encourage you to please reach out directly to either Georgia or I for more information on anything that sparks your interest throughout our presentation. Over to you, Georgia.
Thank you, Rach. So I'm going to start by providing some quick background about Living Waterways, including how it came about, the intent behind it, the themes and guiding principles, and how it works. And then I'll hand back over to Rach, who'll do a deeper dive into the applications of the framework, as well as some of the lessons that we've learned along the way. So what is Living Waterways? Living Waterways is a decision-making framework that is designed to help users create sustainable stormwater management systems that provide multiple benefits to the community and the environment. It was born out of a Healthy Waterways Reef Rescue project in 2013, and its development was led by former Water by Design team member, now Healthy Land and Water COO, Dr. Andrew O'Neill. Working with Meter, Bly Tanner, and Landscapeology, the team developed a framework with the intent to help guide discussion and decision-making around urban water management. The aim was to create a quantitative tool that would incentivize innovation and actually reward you for making good decisions. They came up with Living Waterways, which is a scoring system that can be used to assess a proposed project based on a set of themes that align traditional stormwater principles with placemaking benefits. And most importantly, since its inception, it's been enshrined in policy as a valid alternative to meeting the Stormwater Management Design Objectives, or SMDOs, in the Queensland State Planning Policy, which I will go into shortly. So as we all know, there are increasing pressures on urban waterways from human activities, which are only getting worse as our population grows and the climate changes. To address this problem, at least from an urban planning perspective, we have the SMDOs. These are a set of pollution load reduction targets that were introduced into the Queensland State Planning Policy in 2010 that say that you must reduce the percentage of pollutants in water running off your site by a minimum of 80% for total suspended solids, 60% for phosphorus, and 40% for nitrogen. These SMDOs certainly help to reduce the discharge of pollutants, but they don't really address the big picture because water quality is only one small part of what is happening in our waterways. So when it came to Living Waterways, the question became, how can we balance these water quality objectives with environmental, social, and economic outcomes to get multiple benefits? The aim is to deliver integrated design solutions that consider all elements of the water cycle and support connections between people, water, and nature. The approach is site-driven, recognizing that all sites have the potential to contribute to a community's health and well-being. And importantly, it's flexible enough to cater for a variety of project types, scopes, and budgets. It's about encouraging a new way of thinking and demonstrating that good design is better for the environment, better for the people that live there, and often actually cheaper in the long run. The Living Waterways scoring system is built around 4 key themes: living water, living environment, living communities, and living local economies. A series of principles and values underpin each theme and are embedded in the scoring system. So the principle of living water is to protect and enhance our water systems and their environments, with the intent to ensure development incorporates total water cycle practices that protect the environment. The principle of living environment is to protect and enhance natural areas adjacent to waterways, with the intent to encourage community acceptance of good waterway management practices. The principle of living communities is to create versatile places that enable safe, healthy, inclusive, and resilient communities, with the intent to encourage innovative, safe, and versatile design that delivers enduring benefits for communities. And finally, the principle of living local economies is to provide affordable, enduring solutions that are viable to build, use, and maintain, with the intent to ensure the community receives maximum value from blue-green infrastructure. The tool is in a spreadsheet format with simple checkboxes and basically functions as a questionnaire where you accrue points by ticking off the applicable items for your project to get an overall score. The scoring system also incorporates a series of mandatory and non-mandatory items for each theme. And because we're providing some flexibility with regard to the SMDOs, there are built-in safeguards to make sure the user isn't compromising fundamental aspects of waterway health in their design. You can see the safeguards at the bottom of the score summary tab, and you'll notice that there are 3 tiers. The first one is for stormwater quality. You need a minimum of 2 credit points in this category, which equates to 80% of what you would need to do anyway to meet the SMDOs. So this allows you to reduce the amount of treatment on your site by up to 20% compared to business as usual, as long as you improve waterway health in some other way. The second safeguard relates to waterway health. You need a minimum of 20 points in the living water and living environment themes combined. The third safeguard is your overall score, where you need a minimum of 40 points to achieve compliance. Each theme is also broken up into a series of subcategories. So for instance, in living water, you aren't just scored on whether you meet the SMDOs, but also on how effective and integrated your erosion and sediment control is, whether you've maintained the natural hydrology of the landscapes, the percentage of connective impervious surfaces in your design, and whether you factored in water harvesting. Further detail is provided in the following tab, which delves into the justifications and aims for each subcategory, as well as the risks and opportunities associated with complying or not complying. This tab also provides cross-references to other tools, including other sections of the state planning policy, and aligns each category with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The next tab is about building resilience. Here, Living Waterways introduces the concept of active resilience, which is drawn from the 7 key principles of resilience developed by the Stockholm Resilience Centre. I won't go into each of these, but this tab is mainly designed to give you some ideas on how you can apply these key principles to your project and just prompt you to think a little bit more broadly about resilience in general. The final tab is the compliance tab. This tab is another checklist which outlines the required personnel and documentation for each subcategory. Now I'm going to hand it back over to Rach to tell you the story of how we brought Living Waterways to life.
Thanks, Georgia. I just recognize that looking at that framework and all the bits and bobs of it can be a little bit overwhelming. And I guess, there came a point sort of in 2019 where we were looking for opportunities to deliver a demonstration project using the Living Waterways framework, because we knew that the principles underpinning it were really solid. At this time, we were often seeing urban design solutions that were really imposed upon local communities, and they seemed to be very ill-fitting. So they were developed without an understanding of how a community uses and values their local place. They were missing some key pieces of that multi-benefit puzzle. such as activating recreational opportunities, enabling stewardship, highlighting and activating the site's values, and importantly, within our region, really addressing access issues to local waterways. We're really fortunate in Healthy Land and Water that we're stewards of the regional report card. So it's a key monitoring and evaluation program for waterways. In fact, it was one of Australia's first official waterway report cards. So it includes an environmental, social and economic monitoring component. So we already understood that in Brisbane, capital city of Queensland, many citizens reported feeling concerned for the health of the environment, including urban waterways. We also understood that Southeast Queenslanders report gaining many benefits from their local waterways. So urban rivers, creeks, lakes, beaches that are easily accessible and usable are really a really important place of recreation for locals, where they enjoy walking, cycling, swimming, putting the boat in, fishing, camping, socializing and relaxing while enjoying nature. So what we did with regard to targeting in on a catchment, we chose the Lower Brisbane River. And we garnered from our report card results that 50% of residents were satisfied with the condition of their local waterways. That was a little bit less than the overall for Southeast Queensland, which was about 58% in 2019. Results for the area that we targeted in showed that residents valued their local waterways for recreation, that a high number of residents valued local waterways as a place of rest and relaxation, and that they also valued those waterways for social interaction with friends and family. That's at around about 50%. However, those report card results for 2019 also showed us that for that particular community, only 30% of residents would be willing to contribute volunteer time to undertaking stewardship activities within their local waterways. And we really were interested in how we could utilise living waterways specifically to boost that stewardship number and the opportunity, I guess, for communities to contribute to caring for their waterways. So we were successful in landing a federal government grant to fund a Living Waterways project, where we sought to identify ways, obviously, to improve water quality. The rating for the Brisbane River at that time, the Lower Brisbane, was a C-. So we were seeking to improve water quality outcomes, but also to increase opportunities for citizens to participate in stewardship activities and raise that 30%. So to deliver the stated aim of achieving the multi-benefits for this project using the Living Waterways framework, we wanted to test and validate a co-design delivery model. We had never done that before. As a natural resource management not-for-profit organisation, we do a lot of community engagement, but we had never attempted a co-design approach. So we knew that co-design enabled communities to become an integral part of a design project. So to successfully develop and implement an integrated design plan with the aim of integrating sort of all of the complexities and nuances of the Lower Brisbane area that we targeted, we partnered with Co-Design Studios and were mentored through the co-design process. We subsequently utilised the condition assessment model within Living Waterways to paint a picture of overall condition of the catchment, to guide best practice waterway interventions, to clearly define the aims of the project, to get a baseline understanding of the site's condition, as well as the local community's levels of water literacy and stewardship. So the demonstration project involved extensive collaboration with a diverse cross-section of the local community. So that included, really importantly, local residents of the 2 or 3 streets that hugged the section of the waterway that we were looking at restoring. We engaged local businesses, scouts, schools. So community insight was really key to informing the design that we delivered. That was a bespoke, naturally integrated site that consisted of a student-led and designed interpretation trail, a viewing platform that we integrated into the landscape, nest boxes, native beehives, a dry creek bed, which we established to provide an example of historical ecological components of the site. And the project also treated site runoff via a soakage basin, fulfilling the spirit of the Queensland State Planning Policy. We also were able to restore 3,500 species of the original regional ecosystem, which was a literal vine forest, significantly boosting those local biodiversity values. I think without the co-design model of delivery, we really wouldn't have garnered that very place-based community insight into what they wanted. Park embellishments that are standard across that area of Brisbane include, kids' playgrounds, dog parks, outdoor gym equipment. They could have been installed, but once we had authentically engaged with the community, they very clearly told us, we do not want that. We want elements within this design that are going to enhance and build on the intrinsic natural values of this site. So what did we learn? While we knew that we'd achieved a water quality outcome, we also intuitively knew that we had helped achieve something really special in terms of local community connections. So to understand more fully what this was and to validate the theories that we had, we worked together with our social scientific expert panel. We gained the support of a PhD student who used the Living Waterways project as a case study. The research project studied the community who we worked with to understand if the Living Waterways co-design approach could help achieve social resilience within a community. So the research has led to the following key understandings, and I just do want to acknowledge Emma Church, who undertook that research. I'm not sure if Emma's here with us today, but thank you for your contribution, Emma. So that research led to some key understandings. We found that environmental programs can create platforms for social connection. We found that one-off projects are really great for fostering new connections, whereas ongoing projects are better for strengthening social connections. We found that social capital is both an ingredient for and an outcome of community co-design programs. We saw that community co-design activities delivered as an integrated piece of the project, so by design, do help foster social connections. We found that activities should include structured and unstructured elements, so people are able to connect in a way that feels really comfortable for them. We found that social networks can activate around common goals, and identifying those common community goals early really enables this optimal engagement. We found that communities of place don't always have strong connections, and that Living Waterways projects can intentionally strengthen these social connections. We found that face-to-face contact is really important for fostering and strengthening social connections, whereas digital tools can really be helpful for maintaining those connections between those face-to-face events. And we validated that community champions are really critical for building social networks. So the outcome of that first demonstration of the Living Waterways framework has been really important for us. It's really helped us to pave the way to continue to use the tool and its underlying principles to deliver similar projects. Because we still have connections to that initial demonstration site, we've been able to track its success over time. Since the delivery of that initial Living Waterways project, the community has stood up a stewardship group, and they've built on that initial investment by extending the urban creek restoration a further 200 metres upstream and downstream. There's been continued funding from the federal government for other similar Living Waterways projects across that urban footprint. So we've recently just completed delivery of another 6 Living Waterways projects. There's been a real readiness to adopt similar projects from Brisbane City Council, who we worked really closely with on the initial demonstration project. And this site continues to this day to be used as an outdoor teaching classroom by the local St Ambrose school students who we worked with. We received state government funding to develop proposals to pilot Living Waterways with 5 reef councils, and we were recently successful with with 2 of those through funding that's come through the federal government's Urban Rivers and Catchments funding program. So from our perspective, it's been very successful, and it's really validated for us that the delivery model that it affords can really bolster community connections and stewardship. So this Living Waterways demonstration project, and as I said, subsequent project, have showed us that this tool can help to shape and connect the essential relationships between natural water processes, the environment, across to human activities and experience, and really realise the significant value to the local community of place. We found that it achieves its original intent of functioning as a tool that helps us to understand and make decisions that aren't just about water quality, acknowledging that water quality is significantly important, but that we can achieve multiple benefits when we're looking at improving water quality in urban areas. We'd like to see the framework picked up more broadly, and we're really seeking to understand potential barriers to use. So again, please get in touch with us and let us know if you've tried to use the framework and you've found some issues or complexities. We continue to use the Living Waterways framework in whatever capacity we can actually, and in trying to successfully demonstrate its application. Quite a significant number of resources to enable users of the Living Waterways framework. So that includes several free online courses that step you through the Living Waterways framework, as well as step you through a co-design approach. And they're free to use through our digital portal, and we will share a link to that. You can also download the framework directly from the Water by Design website. Thank you guys for your time today. I hope we've stuck to time. If there are any specific questions you have or support you need, again, please just reach directly out to us.
That's great. Thank you so much, Rachael and Georgia. That's amazing. I've been observing this framework from afar for a while and keen to have a application of it. So let's hope that someone in South Australia picks up and runs with it. So again, thanks so much. Really encouraging that people can start thinking outside the box and maybe use your framework to try and get some of the other outcomes that they're seeking from water related projects as well.